This is the How to Quit Working Show. Jeff Steinman believes entrepreneurship is the only true path to freedom. That's why he created the How to Quit Working Show, where you'll hear stories, insights, and inspiration from lifestyle fanatics who left their soul-sucking 9-to-5 job forever. Now, here's your host, author, entrepreneur, and ultimate lifestyle fanatic, Jeff Steinman.
Hello and welcome to the How to Quit Working Show. We've got a whole totally different show for you today. We don't have a guest on this show because Heather and I wanted to come together and make a really huge announcement for the How to Quit Working community, and that is what we're going to focus on today's show. So if you're one of those people that's out there, and I think this is basically everybody, and you're really serious about quitting your job and starting a business, and you are ready to get serious and do that, well, then this show is for you, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about how we can help you and how you can get the resources and support and tools and community and accountability and all the stuff that you need to really make a lot of progress. And I want to talk a little bit about sort of how this came about. And the way this came about is Heather and I, we met last fall, and we came to an agreement and felt that partnering up to offer coaching services through How to Quit Working was the perfect fit, right? Heather had just sold a business. She was ready to move on to the next chapter in her life. And because of her entrepreneurial career, she has the options to really step back and say, okay, what is really right for me right now? And not have to be driven by some requirement of going into a job or having to do anything specific. She can say, no, what's right for me and what do I really want to do and what helps me to fulfill my purpose? And her answer to that question was, well, I want to help other people to start businesses so that they can live this amazing life of freedom that I live. I'm speaking for Heather somewhat, but we came together and felt like this was a great partnership and a great thing to offer that is great not only for both of us, but great for the How to Quit Working community. And we got into it and everything was going great. And when you're building something by yourself, which is pretty much what I've been doing for the past almost 2 years now with How to Quit Working. I've had help with specific tasks along the way, but I haven't had anybody else really helping me to build this. And I haven't had anybody else with deep entrepreneurial experience in their sleeves rolled up and with stake in the game, looking at it and saying, maybe we need to think about this, maybe we need to think about that. Well, Heather approached me and she said, Jeff, this is great what you've been doing, and it's great. You built a great community around How to Quit Working, but we're just not serving enough people. We're not giving enough value. Because I think one of the points that Heather made that was so good was that, podcasts and books and stuff, they only take you so far. And now we're offering the one-on-one coaching, but that's not a low price point. It's a significant financial investment. But what we needed really was something more in between there, right? Something in between, a $15 book and 4+ figure coaching. So Heather said, Jeff, we have to do something. And I said, gosh, you're right. I feel kind of like an idiot because I really hadn't stepped back and looked at the big picture. So getting somebody else involved in your business and getting somebody who can look at it more objectively, for me, has been huge. And we've had a lot of people on the show who've said, well, you've got to get that outside perspective and the perspective from somebody who's not been in it up to their eyeballs since day one. And that's what Heather brought to the table. And that's why Heather and I have put together this amazing new mastermind community called Shift. By the way, Heather is on the show as well. Heather, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about Shift and why you feel like it's so important for folks?
Well, I think that you hit the nail on the head. I mean, the reality is that we have to serve more people. And I know what it's like, and you know what it's like, and I'm guessing most of listeners out there, like to feel like you're just totally alone in the process. And I think what's really, really important is that when you're making the transition, when you're making the shift from being an employee to being a business owner, you really lose a lot of that accountability. You lose having a boss that is there with you every day, telling you what to do and how to do it. And so when you're starting a business, you just don't have that. You don't have the structure and you don't have the foundation. And then to top it all off, you're surrounded by people who are telling you that you're crazy. And they're saying, what are you doing? Why are you starting a business? You're fine in your job. You're making good money. Don't worry about what else is out there. This is, businesses fail every day. You need to stay working. You need to stay in this position. And the only way that you're really going to advance in life is working outside that comfort zone and surrounding yourself with other people who are dedicated to the same outcome that you're dedicated to. Being around other people who understand what it feels like to be in your shoes day in and day out, where you're juggling having this full-time business, or having this full-time job, trying to start a business, and really just needing to be surrounded by a support system. And that's what Shift is going to provide. Shift is going to provide you the opportunity to surround yourself with other people who are in the same shoes that you're in, who really can identify with you day in and day out. And so that's why I'm so excited about it. We're not going to be able to just help a few people through coaching. We're going to be able to help tons of you through really creating this great online mastermind group that's going to be there for you.
Yeah, it's so amazing. I recorded a show this morning with a guest that hasn't aired yet, but she said the funniest thing. And she said, she was talking about having some issues in her business early on. She was just really overwhelmed and, couldn't get it to grow. And she was really struggling. And she said that she called her mom in the car crying and looking for support. And what her mom said was, I told you not to start that business in the first place.
Nice.
Not exactly the support that a struggling business owner needs, so, and I think that's one of the things that we all have to do is we all have to find that support group, and we learn there's those people that are going to say, no, I told you never should have done that. Those are absolutely the wrong people to talk to, and that's why you need something like this, to just have that community of people.
Absolutely. And what's most important is just what you said. When you've got a question, when you've got an issue, you need to have a group of people to turn to. You need to have somebody that is holding you accountable to do the things that you don't want to do, because let's face it, most entrepreneurs never do the things they need to do. They do the things they want to do. Yeah. And so, just really creating that accountability, creating the people around you who are going to go, keep going, keep pushing, because quitting your job is really, really hard. That once you quit your job and you start a business, that's really, really hard too. So it's really important to just surround yourself with people. And that's why I'm super, super, just pumped that we're going to have this great group and really just help not just a few people, but really exponentially help all of you out there who are really wanting to quit your job and start the business of your dreams.
Yeah, and when I was thinking, when we were talking about this earlier this week, as we were kind of hashing out some of the details, I was thinking about, well, how would my journey have been different if I'd have had something like this? And I'm like, wow, like all of those lonely nights of like thinking, is this going to work? And then like, especially at that early stage before I had built up the net, because I have a pretty solid network at this point, always looking to make it bigger. But in that early stage when I didn't have the network, I didn't have, and I think, Heather, one of the great advantages that you have is you have a supportive spouse. You have a supportive husband.
Yes, I do.
Who I think shares your passion for entrepreneurship. But everybody doesn't have that. I did not have that. And I think, to have that group of people that were always right there, and one of the mistakes that I made early on was thinking that starting a business was all about knowing stuff. knowing how to do this, knowing how to do that, knowing how to, build websites, knowing how to do accounting. I mean, I bought an accounting package and I bought Accounting for Dummies, and there I was, with QuickBooks and Accounting for Dummies all spread out on the desk there. I didn't have a damn penny of revenue, and I think that it's like, what the hell was I going to account? And I think that's kind of a dramatic example, but the reality of it is we're like all so focused in on all of these things, and everybody, there's all this online stuff, and it's like, oh well, you got to learn how to do webinars, and you got to learn how to do Google Hangouts and all that stuff, and then those are all great tools, but what we tend to do is we tend to get so caught up in, I got to learn this tool, I got to learn that tool. And really what you need is that community of people that are going to be asking you the real serious questions, the questions that really matter, not, what should the setting be on your webinar, but the questions like, let's talk about who your target customer really is, and let's talk about where you're going to find them and how to find them. And to have that kind of support. So I think like a group like this, that community just would have been so helpful for me. I mean, I think it could have shaved a couple of years off of my journey anyway.
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head. You can get to wherever you want to be by yourself, but it's just how quickly can you get there?
Yeah.
And the reality is there's so much information out there. There's so many opportunities for you to get what you need. The problem is distilling through all that information. And I don't know about you, but I just constantly get information overload. And it's, there's so many opinions out there. There's so much information. There's so many YouTube videos and podcasts, and pretty soon you just kind of have to swirl around and you're like, I don't know what to do and when to do it. And that's what this group is going to do is, when you have those questions, when you're feeling like, gosh, do I really need QuickBooks? Do I need to understand how to do accounting? Is it time for me to do a webinar? You and I can be there to really help support the How to Quit Working community and tell people, no, you don't need that right now. That's not important. What's important is X, Y, and Z. What's important is getting your product really dialed in and really providing this thing out there and getting members. And that's, that's what's, about creating a business. It's so valuable, is doing all of the right things in the right order. And, I'm really excited that we can help people through the process.
Yeah, it's really going to be cool what we're going to be able to do. And I think one of the things that we hear so much on the show, and from every successful entrepreneur I've ever met, is about reading and about books. And everybody has their favorite book. And I think it's so cool because that's one of the things that we have worked into this program. So we're basically going to center each month around a topic and a book related to that topic. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think books are just huge to me. When I was younger, when I was growing up, I didn't read. It was actually at one of my waitressing jobs. This gal said, so what was the last book you read, Heather? And I said, what do you mean? I don't read books. And I will never forget the look on her face. She was like, what do you mean you don't read books? And gosh, I think I was probably like 19 or something. And I started reading, and reading has literally changed my life. I would not be the person that I am today if I did not read. And I don't know how people survive without reading. Anytime I have a question about anything in life, I get a book. And there are so many books out there that are just so valuable and really, really can help just really create your mindset. Because when we're looking at a business, 20% of it is going to be the tactics, the mechanicals, what you should do and how you should do it. And 80% of it is psychological. 80% of it is convincing yourself that you really have the capability of doing it. And all of that information can come from a book. And so I'm just super excited about having a book be the cornerstone of the monthly sessions, because, I think that you can gain knowledge, and there are hundreds of thousands of books out there. And what my mind is book are we going to choose? I would love it if we could give everyone a book a week to read.
Yeah.
But that might be a tad ambitious. So, every month you will receive a book in the mail. So when you join Shift, you will get this book every month in the mail and you'll read the book. And then we're going to have a Google Hangout. So once a month, we'll get together as a Shift community and we'll discuss the book that we've read. We'll discuss the topics in the book and really the principles that have come through and the really important parts. And then we'll also have that time to just really get to know one another. We'll have time to find out who's struggling with which issues and how we can really be supportive of one another. And, I think that Google Hangout is going to be really an essential part of just creating community and creating that support. You are really who you hang out with. And it's just true. If you hang out with people who are, kind of living a dead-end life or, maybe don't have the same kind of goals and aspirations that you have, you're going to be affected by that. And when you hang out with people who are ambitious, when you hang out with people who are really dedicated and disciplined to creating the lifestyle that they want, that is going to have an impact on you. It's going to have a really, really positive effect. And that's what this group is all about, is surrounding yourself with the right kind of people.
That is such a great point. And I want to, one of the things that I'm really passionate about is when we talk about law of attraction and all that kind of stuff, it seems like a lot of people portray that like it's super magical or something like that, or and like there's a spiritual aspect to it, and not that there isn't to some degree. I mean, everybody has different beliefs, but I think it's really important to understand that a lot of it's just really common sense mechanics. I have a pretty good circle of friends, and one of the things that I like to do is we'll go out, we'll have dinner, and we'll have a couple drinks afterwards. And I have some friends who are entrepreneurs, and we talk about entrepreneurial stuff. I have one friend in particular who makes a lot more money than I do, and he is much further along in his business career than I am. And when I leave that conversation, I am sometimes I have a bit of an inferiority complex, and I'm somewhat frustrated because I'm like, why am I not doing the great, cool, fun things that he's doing? But really but I would say more so than that is really inspired. So it's like what happens for me is I have dinner with him and I hear him talking about some $1 million deal he's working on. And then I end up with 20% frustration and 80% inspiration. And I really think that little bit of frustration, I think it motivates me and drives me to go into my office the next day and work a little bit harder, or some days a lot harder, or to make some bolder moves, And when you compare that to if I go out and have dinner with a friend of mine who's not an entrepreneur, I will hear about, their trials and tribulations at their job, their stupid coworker, their boss that they hate, the stupid meeting that they were at. And just think about it. I mean, it's not magic, how do you think I go away from that? I go away from that thinking, God, I'm glad I don't work a job anymore. And that's fine, but it certainly doesn't send me back to my office the next day fired up and inspired like when I talk to my super successful friend. And I think it's just important to realize that it's just the way the human mind works. If you go and you talk to your friend about bunny rabbits for an hour, or you go talk to your friend about roller skating for an hour, what are you going to be focused on for the next hour after that, right? I mean, it's just going to stick with you. So that's the kind of thing that I think we can bring to the table in Shift is, every time you hop out into our group, we haven't even talked about all the things that we're going to be actually doing with this group, but when you're exposed to people through the hangouts that you talked about, and through the book and the conversations that we're going to have online, you're going to walk away from that and you're going to be like, oh my God, this is so freaking cool. Now I got to go do this. Oh, so-and-so in the group is doing that. I'm going to try that. That's a really good idea. That worked really well for her. So it's just about being around people that do that, and they put that same thing in your head. The folks out there that have kids, like, who do you want your kids to hang out with? The A students or the F students, right? So why would you do anything differently?
That's exactly true. And that's such a great analogy. You don't want your kids hanging out with the F students. You want them hanging out with the A students. And that's what we want for you. That's what we want for the How to Quit Working community. We want you to be hanging out with people who can really edify your life. And I feel the same way you do, Jeff. When I hang out with people who are entrepreneurs, I just feel this fire and this passion and this excitement. It's hanging out with people who understand you. So many times when I hang out with friends that aren't entrepreneurs, they look at you almost sideways. They're like, what are you doing? You guys are crazy, and I think we get that a lot. You guys are crazy. What are you doing? Yeah. And it isn't inspiring. You want to be with people who inspire you to greatness. You want to be with people who make you the best person that you can be. And that's what this group is all about. It's about surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded, who are going through the exact same trials and tribulations in life that you're going through, but who have that passion and who have the drive to really be that entrepreneur, who really have the drive to start a business. And there are people that can relate to you. There are people that understand that it's challenging. And, I think that that's one of my favorite parts about the Facebook group that I've just been totally enjoying. And if you're not a part of the Facebook group, you definitely need to get on and join that. But it's awesome because we have members every day who will say, gosh, I'm having a really hard day today. I'm having a hard time finding my motivation, or I'm having a hard time, just, getting the customers I need, or they'll post questions. And the interaction there is really what, in my opinion, has driven the creation of Shift. It's taking that environment and basically just putting it on steroids. It's like, how can we create this environment and really, really make it something that is going to deeply affect and change the courses of people's lives, that are going to, like you said, take them on this journey, this really kind of slow path journey to creating a business, and, just super speed it and push it to the limits and really accelerate the process of creating a business. And, that's what this group is going to do. When you're a Shift, when you're in Shift, you're going to have that capability to really just accelerate your progress.
Absolutely. It's just, we've talked about this, Heather. We've talked about how, businesses like, we share the opinion that it's so much less about strategy and tactics and how do you do this and how do you do that, and so much more about mindset. And I think that the mix of topics that we've come up with, and the cool thing is, we're going to talk a little bit about that as well, but the cool thing is that we've created a really good mix of topics, I think, some of which are more on the mindset side, and some of them are really much more tactical and like really specific. How do you do this kind of stuff? And what we've really done is we've created, one of the things that I decided early on in starting this business is that I'm not going to just create stuff that you can just go Google. It's not like, there's so many people out there that like they're hungry for information, and folks provide that information in such a way that it's just like everything else, right? It's just, I call it like commodity type information. If you want to learn how to set up a webinar, just freaking Google it. It's all out there. What this is, and what we've put together in Shift, is this really beautiful mix of information that when you put it all together, it's unbelievable, because we cover the mindset stuff. We cover the concepts of business, that once you get these concepts, this is one of the things I think is so fascinating about business, and I don't talk to a lot of people who really understand this, but once you understand these couple of concepts, then the rest of it just falls into place. And what I mean by that is when you begin to think about business from in certain ways, and in fact I just talked with a guest about this morning, when you begin to think about business, for example, from the standpoint of you build it instead of do it. Like so many people think about business from the standpoint of, okay, I'm going to start a business. What am I going to do for people? right? Am I going to wash their cars? Am I going to make their graphics? Am I going to fix their computers? Am I going to walk their dogs? What am I going to do? What am I going to do for people to make my business, right? And what you ultimately end up there is you end up creating a job. When you create a business that is really just a job that you do independently, then you have the worst of both worlds, right? So when you can think of it in terms of, okay, it's not about what I do for other people. It's about the systems and the processes that I create that provide value to other people. Then you look at everything totally differently, right? Then you build a business that has a pricing model that is appropriate, that you can bring other people in to perform these services. If it's a service-based business and the similar concepts if it's product-based. But that's what I mean by the concepts that once you just get those concepts, implementing them is really not that hard. It's about understanding the concept and thinking about it in the right way. Did that make any sense?
Absolutely. It made a ton of sense. And I think you're right. I love when you said that if you create a job for yourself, you have the worst of both worlds. Mm-hmm. You don't have a regular paycheck. You don't have somebody telling you what to do and financing your project. And you just have to do a job every day. And the reality is you go from working 40 hours a week to 60 hours a week. And,
yep.
And so what you bring up, Jeff, is just so important. There are proven tactics to creating a business. There are proven ways where you can structure your company to be successful. And we know that. And that's what I love about the systems of creating businesses. At the end of the day, it's not about coming up with one great idea. It's not about starting this golden business that's going to make you a gazillionaire. It's about coming up with a really solid business structure that is going to really add value to the world. And once you add value, money follows. That's just a simple fact. If you can put out value, money will come. And really that's what Shift is going to be so great at doing, is helping to give these bits of information to those of you who are in a position where you're like, gosh, I know I want to do this. I just don't know how. And, it's scary, when you feel like you're ready to do it, but you don't know how to do it. You don't know when to do it. And anytime you involve money, fear comes following very quickly. And, so it's just so important to be able to get that support and to get the knowledge. And I just think, Jeff, you and I are a great team, and really what we have to bring to the community is huge. And if nothing else, just the daily encouragement, just really allowing each of you to know that you can do it is massive, because you can, and we know you can, and we want to help you do it.
Absolutely. And back to the team that Heather and I make, I think that we complement each other so well because we understand, we have the same core philosophies. We don't agree on every single thing, but we have the same core philosophies, but we have very different experiences, right? I've been mostly real estate and consulting has been kind of my business experience. And Heather brings a lot of different things, right? You bring the event planning business. You bring experience from your haircutting business, which is a physical bricks and mortar store with employees. I've never had an employee, right? So I think that we've got really different things that we bring to the table, and I think that's why you get such valuable perspectives across the board when you're in a program like Shift, where you've got those diverse perspectives.
Absolutely. And I think that you make a really good point. It is great. And that's one of the things I love about working with you, is that you do have a different perspective than I do. I am come from more of the brick and mortar. Let's hire employees. Let's deal with, the fun world of having employees and dealing with, all the things that they bring. But then also looking at the advantages that they bring and how you can create a business that you really put very little effort into, that does pay you monthly. And it's been such a cool experience personally for me to watch the system, to watch it grow and know that, when you have the right foundation, you really can create a business. And, I think everybody loves that passive income term, but it is doable. It is doable to create passive income. It's not easy to create passive income, but it is doable. And, I think that, that's definitely something that we want to share with the community is, how can you start a business? And ultimately, what is the best fit for you personally? Because there's no right or wrong. There's no, this is the specific answer. It's taking your lifestyle blueprint. It's really creating what you want in life and then identifying a business that's going to fit well with those goals. And when those are in line, you get happiness. And really, at the end of the day, happiness is what most people want.
It's the only thing that really matters, right?
It is absolutely the only thing that matters. You can be successful all day long, but at the end of the day, if you're not happy, it really, what does success mean if it isn't bringing you happiness?
Yeah. So let's see. I don't think we've covered everything involved in the program. So we covered every month we are shipping you a book. Every month we're having a Google Hangout where we are going to have a topic. We're going to talk about the book. And I think you want to talk a little bit about the accountability piece, because I know that's a piece that folks are really interested in.
Absolutely. Accountability is huge. And the reason accountability is so important is because most people do not have an innate sense of being able to hold themselves to a standard and accomplish that. And it's not even being able to hold yourself to a standard. It's being able to hold yourself to that standard day in and day out. So most people can do something for a short period of time, but it's the consistency of activity that has the ability to really achieve greatness. And so what we're going to do is, as part of Shift, probably one of the most important elements of Shift is you're going to tell us what you're going to do, and we're going to make sure that you do it. And that sounds really simple, but if you say, hey, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and, I'm going to come up with a business name, and, I'll have that done in 2 weeks. And then in 2 weeks, you don't have a business name. We're going to say, why not? What else in life was so important that you didn't get this task done? And I think, one of the things that's really important is that this isn't a social hangout. We're not